Hello, folks. This is Tom Martin. This is my lottery strategy game, Decoding the Powerball guessing game. I'm picking my numbers for the drawing on May 30th, 2018. If you'd like to play my game, Decoding the Powerball, to help assist you in picking your own numbers, then please go to my website at www.patreon.com/Decoding the Powerball. I have 7 strategies with my game Decoding the Powerball. So strategy number 1, the game card color code. Okay, so if you've never seen my videos before, why I make them is to show you on how to use my game. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call the game card. This is a format that I came up with that represents the 69 white ball numbers in the Powerball lottery. I really don't have anything for the Powerball itself. My goal is to get all 5 white balls correct and win the $2 million prize with the Power Play option. Okay, so first things first is I'm going to go to the Powerball homepage, and the 5 white winning numbers that just came up were the 1, 21, 31, 45, and 49. Again, I really don't care about the red ball. Okay, so what I do is I take those 5 white winning numbers and I put it at the top of this list, and then I take the last 3 drawings of numbers and I transfer these numbers over to the game card as red numbers. Then I'll do the same thing with the orange area, the green area, the blue, and the purple. I have 5 different colors, one to represent each one of the 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so how this works is, again, there's 69 white ball numbers. Okay, so what I did is I divided it by 5 colors, which equals 13.8. Okay, so that's my goal, is to have each color represent at least 13 or 14 numbers. Okay, so for this drawing here, I have 14 red numbers, 14 orange, 10 green, 16 blue, and 15 purple. And the number of colors change with every single drawing. Okay, so over here to the right, this 231. This represents how many color code drawings I kept track of so far. And again, these are the color code drawings. Okay, and out of this 231 drawings, 121 drawings have come up a 3-color combination. 82 drawings have come up a 4-color combination. 22 drawings have come up a 2-color combination, and only 7 times out of 231 drawings have all 5 colors come up together, and never has it been just 1 color. Okay, so this number right here, this number 3, this tells me how many colors just came up in the last drawing. So you can see that there's 2 purple numbers, 2 orange, and a red for 3 colors total. Okay, so what I try to do is I try to correctly guess what the number will be of colors that will come up in the next drawing. And again, more than half the time, it does come up a 3-color combination. Okay, so the overall strategy is to reduce the numbers. Okay, so again, there's 69 white ball numbers total. Only 5 numbers can come up as winners. So that means 64 numbers can't come up at all. Okay, so for me, I just think it should be easier to pick the numbers that won't be coming up than the 5 that actually do. Okay, so to help me do that, okay, pick the numbers that won't be coming up, I'm going to turn to how all 5 colors hardly ever come up together. Okay, so again, more than half the time, it comes up a 3-color combination. So that means at least half the time, 2 colors are not going to come up. Okay, so for this drawing here, I'm going to guess that no green numbers will be coming up. Okay, and the reason why I'm picking this is because when I look from here down to here, I just see lots of green. Okay, so no green numbers came up in the last drawing, and I just think that it's going to miss a couple times. Okay, so again, I don't believe that any green numbers are going to come up, so I'm going to eliminate the green numbers off of the game card. Okay, so to speed things up, I'm going to scroll to the right, and this is what the game card looks like so far with no green numbers to it. Okay, so when I block out a number like this, this means that I'm not even going to consider this number when I'm picking what I think will be the 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm spending $3 on a Powerball ticket, which includes the Power Play. Okay, so in other words, I'm betting $3 that none of these green numbers will come up in the next drawing. Okay, so If I'm correct with my bet and none of these green numbers come up, then I'm one step closer to that $2 million prize. Okay, so I'm off to the next strategy. And that's strategy number 2, the individual numbers. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call the individual numbers. Okay, and how this works is up at the very top is the master for each individual number. Okay, and over here to the right, these are the numbers that just came up in the drawing. Again, it was the 1, 21, 31, 45, and 49. Okay, so that turns out to be a 4-group combination. Okay, so I'm going to reduce this down so you can see the whole card and see what I'm talking about as far as these groups. Okay, so what you're going to see here is that I've broken the numbers down into 7 groups. Okay, so group number 1 holds the numbers of 1 through 9. Okay, so this represents 9 numbers, and all the other 6 groups represent 10 numbers. Okay, so again, the first group is 1 through 9, then it's the teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. Okay, so again, the strategy is to reduce the numbers. Okay, so again, I have 7 groups here. Okay, but there's only 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so I know that 2 of these groups won't be able to have a winning Powerball number to it. Okay, so again, the strategy is try to correctly guess which one of these groups won't have the winning Powerball number to it and eliminate that group of numbers off of the game card. Okay, so how I use this is this big square right here. This is good for 5 drawings. Okay, so there's a couple reasons why I break it down into 5. And one is when I go back into the history of things, it's easier to count back on 5, 10, 15, 20, and so on. Okay, but the other thing is I like to keep track of 5 drawings here, because if there's a lot of hits within this group of numbers for this 5 drawings, then maybe there won't be so many hits in the next 5 drawings, or vice versa. Okay, so again, the overall strategy is to reduce the numbers. Okay, so my pick is going to be that no 50 numbers will be coming up. Okay, and the reason why I'm picking this one, and we're all going to look at this a little bit differently. Okay, so even though I say I think the 50 numbers won't be coming up, you might look at something else and say, no, I don't think any 20 numbers are going to come up, or whatnot. Okay, so again, I don't think that any 50 numbers are going to come up, so I'm going to eliminate the 50 numbers off of the game card. Okay, so I'm going to blow this back up. Okay, so another way I could use this is I could just highlight one number like the 16, and I could go back through the history and see what colors have come up. So let's say a blue number hasn't come up in the 16 area. Okay, for the 16 number. Well, when that 16 hits that blue area, then maybe I'll consider picking the 16 because it just hasn't been blue in a long time. Okay, so another way I use this is I try to correctly guess how many groups will come up. Okay, so the last drawing had 4 groups. Before that, you can see it was 3 groups, 3 groups, 3 groups, 3 groups. Okay, 4. So 3 and 4 groups come up the most. Okay, then 5 groups come up, and then every once in a while, every once in a blue moon, a 2 group will come up, like right here. Okay, so you can see it was 23, 22, 23, 62, 63, and 66 for 2 groups. Okay, so again, for this drawing here, I'm thinking that one of those 2 groups probably might come back up again, because it hasn't been a 2 in a very, very long time. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, so again, I'm going to go back to the game card, and I'm going to scroll to the right, and you're going to see that no 50 numbers are on the game card anymore. Okay, so you can read down below, individual numbers, no 50 numbers. So I took the 50 numbers off of the game card. Okay, so I'm off to the next strategy. Okay, just one more thing. Again, if these blocked out numbers do not come up, then I'm another step closer to that $2 million prize. Okay, so again, I'm off to the next strategy, and that's strategy number 3, picking the numbers I hope will miss from group 1. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call my group 1 numbers, okay? And basically what I did is I divided all the numbers into 4 different groups, and I put colors to these groups, okay? So when the Powerball numbers land within these groups, I record where they land down here in the stats, okay? So again, I'm going to go back to the Powerball homepage, and the 5 white winning numbers were the 1, 21, 31, 45, and 49. Okay, so you can see down here in the red area, this 1 is in the red, okay? So when you look down in the stats in the red area, you can see this 1, okay? That represents the number 1 number, okay? So here in the blue, you can see that the 21 and 31 came up, okay? So I have 2 blue numbers, okay? And then in the orange, I have the 49, and that's what this 1 represents, is that 49. And then the last one, the 45, is in the green. So you can see that I have one here. Okay, so when the numbers hit all 4 color groups like that, I call that a row. Okay, and that just helps me separate things. Okay, you can see that there wasn't a row here. There was a couple misses. Okay, so I'm going to turn to the next option card here. I have 15 of these option cards total. Okay. So you can see in this on this number 2 option card, all the colors look the same as option card number 1 as far as red, blue, orange, green. Okay, so here, no winning Powerball numbers landed in this blue number, in this blue area. Okay, so the strategy is try to correctly guess where these zeros are going to come up. Okay, so if I could have correctly guessed that none of these blue numbers were going to come up in the last drawing, I could have eliminated all these numbers and really gave myself a much better chance at picking the 5 correct winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so here with this, I'm going to make a guess here, okay, and I'm going to guess that this number 2 option card won't have any red numbers come up in the drawing, okay? So again, I don't think that any of these red numbers will be coming up in the next drawing, so I want to get rid of them, and I'm going to get rid of them through the game card. Okay, so as I go back to the game card here, I'm going to scroll to the right, and now you can see that none of these red numbers are on the game card anymore. Okay, so again, I just don't think they're going to come up, so I want to reduce them and give myself a much better chance at picking the 5 correct winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so I'm going to go back to group 2 here. All right, I'm going to make another pick. And again, we're all going to look at this a little bit differently. Okay, so I'm going to pick on this number 3 option card. Again, I have 15 of these total, and I don't think that any red numbers are going to come up as well. Okay. So the reason why I'm picking this one is you can see that here's a 1, okay, and I think that this is going to be a 1 as well because I think there's going to be a 0 right here, okay. So as I go down through, you'll see that in the other columns there's lots of a 1, and then it will follow by a 1, okay. For some reason, it just happens like that, okay. There's no rhyme or reason to it, okay, but it just happens a lot. So as I go down through, let's see if there's one here in this green area here. Okay, I'm not seeing one. Okay, so I know that this has not happened here in this red area, okay, where it has happened in the other 2 areas at least a couple of times. Okay, so again, I just think that it's due to happen where a 1 is going to follow a 1 like this. Okay, so again, I don't believe that any of these red numbers are going to come up, so I want to get rid of them, and I'm going to get rid of them through the game card. Okay, so as I go back to the game card, I'm going to scroll to the right. Okay, and this is what the game card looks like so far. Again, you can see I eliminated all these red numbers, okay? And I want to show you a little bit of difference here between group 1 and the game card. Okay, so you can see that for the overall picture, I got just this grouping like this, okay, where there's 64 squares, okay? But among these 64 squares, there's actually 69 numbers, okay? So like this number right here, the 8 and the 66, they kind of share the square here, okay? And what that means is that if I decide to get rid of all these red numbers like I'm doing, I'm going to get rid of the 8 and the 66 as a group, okay? So I'm getting rid of the 8 and the 66 along with all these other numbers, again, as one group of numbers, okay? So what I'm doing here is I'm just dividing the numbers into different groups, and then I'm trying to predict whether these groups of numbers are going to come up or not come up in the drawing, okay? So again, as I go back to the game card, like you can see this 19, this shares the square with the 67, okay? So again, if I decided to get rid of this whole square right here, I'm going to get rid of all these numbers, including the 19 and the 67 as a group, okay? So the reason why I have this 19 out here, not crammed in here with the 67, is because of the color code, okay? So you can see that the 19 is orange and the 67 is blue, okay? So if I decide to get rid of all the blue numbers, then I'm going to get rid of the 67, but the 19 will still be in play because it's orange, okay? So I hope that makes sense to you, okay? So I'm going to go back to group 1, and my next pick is going to be option card number 4, no orange numbers, okay? So again, we're all going to look at this a little bit different, but the reason why I'm taking this orange is because it hit 23 drawings in a row, okay? So in the last 23 drawings, one of these orange numbers have come up in the drawing, okay? I'm not which ones, but I'm not sure which ones actually came up, but all I know is that one of these orange numbers have come up in the last 23 drawings, and I just think that is due to miss, okay? So I don't believe that any of these orange numbers are going to come up, so I want to get rid of them. And again, I'm going to get rid of them through the game card. Okay, so I'm going to scroll to the right. Okay, so this is what the game card looks like so far with no orange numbers to it. Okay, so again, if I made all the correct picks, all right, and these blocked out numbers don't come up in the drawing, then the 5 white winning Powerball numbers have to be within one of these colored numbers still left on the game card. Okay, so I'm going to go back to group 1 for one last pick, and that's option card number 7, no green numbers. Okay, so the reason why I'm picking this one is because this one has hit 14 drawings in a row, okay? But this one has hit a bunch of rows in a row here, so I think that like after this row, you can see that there was a miss in the red area, okay? And I think after this row, I don't think there's going to be another row here, so I think there's going to be a miss among one of these 4 color groups, and I just think it's going to be the green one, okay? So again, there's really no rhyme or reason to it, okay? It's just a guessing game, so if I'm correct with my guess, then none of these green numbers will be coming up in the drawing, okay? And if none of them come up, then I want to get rid of them. And again, I'm going to get rid of them through the game card. So again, I'm at the game card, and I'm going to scroll to the right. And this is what the game card looks like so far, okay? And again, underneath, you can read group 1, option card number 7, no green numbers. So I took off all the green numbers here, okay? So that's all I'm going to pick for group 1, okay? So again, if I'm correct with all my picks, then the 5 white winning Powerball numbers have to be within one of these colored numbers still left on the game card. Okay, so I'm off to the next strategy. Strategy number 4, picking the numbers I hope will miss from group 2. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call my group 2 numbers. Okay, so much like group 1, where I divided things into 4 different groups, here I divided things into 8 different groups. Okay, so again, I know there's only 5 white winning Powerball numbers, so I know that 3 of these groups won't be able to have a winning Powerball number to it. Okay, so the strategy is try to correctly guess which one of these groups won't have the winning Powerball number to it and eliminate that group of numbers off of the game card. Okay, so how this works is I have 15 of these option cards as well, okay? And they all have the same colors as far as red, blue, orange, green, purple, brown, gray, yellow. It's just that the numbers that they represent are a little bit different from each other from each different option card. Okay, so you can see here the red numbers go from 1 down to the 57, and then over here on option card number 2, you can see that the red numbers go from 1 to 66, okay? But all the same colors, they're all in the same line as far as red, blue, orange, green, purple, brown, gray, yellow for each option card. Again, it's just that the numbers that they represent are a little bit different from each other from each different option card. Okay, so another way I use this is down here is the stats, just like with group 1, okay? So I'm going to blow this up just a little bit. Okay, so we're down here in this red area. Okay, so this 0 means that none of the 5 white winning Powerball numbers landed in this red area. And this 2 means that 2 out of the 5 white winning Powerball numbers landed in this red area. Okay, so here I like to just record things in a group of 5. Okay, and the reason why I do that is because it shows me a majority of things. Okay, so you can see that if there's 3 or more zeros or 3 or more misses, I color the background blue for cold. If there's 3 or more hits, I color the background red for hot. Okay, so the reason why I do that is because as I go through the history of things, okay, since the lottery is so random, I know that nothing can stay hot forever and nothing can stay cold forever. Okay, so when I see something so hot like this, I know that it's going to turn cold eventually. I just have to correctly guess when that's going to happen. Okay, so for my first pick here, I'm going to go with option card number 3, no red numbers. Okay, so as I go back up, again, all the red numbers are the first ones, okay, from left to right. And as I go down, you can see that this got really, really hot here, okay? And it kind of stayed hot. And now I think it's going to start to cool off. So I think there's going to be a 0 right here, okay? And if a 0 does come up, then that means that none of these red numbers will be coming up in the drawing, okay? So again, I don't believe that any of these red numbers are going to come up, so I want to get rid of them. And I'm going to get rid of them through the game card. Okay, so now I'm going to scroll down. Okay, so let me go back to 90%. Okay, so this is the, you can read underneath group 2, option card number 3, no red numbers, and you can see that there's no more red numbers here. Okay, so again, if I made all the correct picks, then none of these blocked out numbers will be coming up, and the 5 white winning Powerball numbers have to be within one of these colored numbers still left on the game card. Okay, so I'm going to go back to group 2 for another pick. Again, I have 15 of these option cards, and I know that at least 3 of these groups in each of these option cards won't be able to have a winning Powerball number to it. Okay, so here in option card number 4, I don't think that any yellow numbers will be coming up, so I'm going to go through the history of that. So you can see that the yellow's really, really hot here, okay? Kind of stayed pretty hot, and now I think it's going to go on a wicked cool down here, okay? So I think there's going to be lots of zeros coming up, okay? So if that's true, then I don't believe that any of these yellow numbers will be coming up in this drawing, okay? So I want to get rid of them. And I believe that the only ones left is the 22, 27, 63, and 64. Okay, so you can see that the 27, 63, and 64 are still on the game card. And I'm going to scroll to the left, and now you can see that they're gone. Okay, so hopefully those numbers won't be coming up. So I'm going to go back to group 2. In my next pick, in my last pick here is option card number 6, no green numbers. Okay, so here's the stats for the green. And as I head down through, you can see that thing's been really, really cold. Okay, now they kind of heated up. And now I think it's going to go on a little cold streak. So I think that there's going to be a 0 here. So again, I don't believe that any of these green numbers will be coming up in the drawing. Okay, so I want to get rid of them. So I'm going to get rid of them through the game card. Okay, so as I head over, I think the only one missing is the 38. Okay, so again, if I made all the correct picks and none of these blocked out numbers come up, then the 5 white winning Powerball numbers have to be within these colored numbers still left on the game card. Okay, so basically what I did is I took 69 white ball numbers, okay, and I reduced the numbers down to, I got 4 over here, 2 more is 6, and 2 more is 8. Okay, so now I reduced it down to 8. Okay, so again, if the 5 white winning Powerball numbers are within these 8 numbers here, then I got a much better chance at picking the 5 correct one over all 69 numbers. Okay, so that's the whole thing behind this game. Okay, to give yourself a much better opportunity at hitting a bigger prize or any kind of prize. Okay, so I'm off to the next strategy. Strategy number 5, the 50-50 picks. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call the 50-50 picks. Okay, so again, there's 5 white winning Powerball numbers. So there has to be a majority of either odd numbers or even numbers, or numbers to the high side or numbers to the low side. Okay, so I like to keep track of this stuff and try to correctly guess what the majority will be for the upcoming drawing. Okay, so this happened to me a couple years ago, okay, where I reduced the numbers down to 10 numbers here, and the 5 white winning Powerball numbers landed within those 10 numbers, okay? And that day, I only got 2 correct, but I said to myself, gee, I think I'm really onto something here. You know, I gave myself a much better chance at winning something, okay? So this is why I keep on doing this, because it worked for me at least one time, okay? So as I look at this, all right, this is where I came up with the 50-50 picks to help me make a better pick here, okay? So how this works is this 276. This represents how many drawings I kept track of so far, and this goes back to October 7th, 2015. That's when the Powerball lottery went from 59 numbers to 69 numbers, okay? So out of this 276 drawings, 139 drawings have been the majority of odd numbers. 137 drawings have been the majority of even numbers. Okay, so I just think that's really amazing that it's so close like that. Okay, so for this drawing here, I'm going to guess that the majority of numbers will be even numbers. Okay, so when I'm picking what I think will be the 5 white winning Powerball numbers, I want at least 3 of them to be even numbers. Okay, so as I move over to the next one, this is high and low, where all the high numbers are in red. All the low numbers are in blue, okay? So here, out of 276 drawings, 135 drawings have been the majority to the high side, 141 to the low side. Okay, so for this drawing here, I think the majority will be to the high side, which means that when I'm picking what I think will be the 5 white winning Powerball numbers, I want at least 3 of them in this red area here, okay? So I'm going to move on to the next one. This is left and right, and you can see that 137 were the majority to the left side. 139 drawings have been the majority to the right side. Okay, so I'm not sure what's going to happen here, so I'm going to leave this one alone, okay? I don't have to pick at every single one of them, okay? So here, this is the red and blue, and 158 drawings have been the majority to the red area, and 118 to the blue, and I'm going to guess that more blue numbers are going to come up than red numbers. So again, when I pick the 5 white winning, what I think will be the 5 white winning Powerball numbers, I want at least 3 of them in this blue area here, okay? So one last thing I have here, this is for the Powerball number itself, okay? This is for the red number. So as I go back to the Powerball homepage, the red number was 21 last drawing, okay? So again, there's 69 white ball numbers and there's 26 red ball numbers. Okay, so if you're looking at this column here, if you see a blue number, that means it's low, 1 to 13, and red means it's high, 14 to 26. So if you're looking at this column, if you see a red number, then that means it's an odd number. If you see blue, then that means it's an even number. Okay, so for me, I just like looking at colors like this, okay? Just because when I see a streak of red, well, I know it's going to be blue eventually. I just have to correctly guess when that's going to happen. Okay, so for this drawing here, I think that this is going to stay red for some reason, okay? Just gut feeling. And then over here, I think that this is going to stay red as well, okay? So for me, I think the Powerball number will be a high odd number. Okay, so as I go back to the game card, I'm going to scroll down. And you can see the 50-50 picks where I think more numbers will be even numbers. I think the majority of the numbers will be to the high side. And I think the majority of the numbers will be in this blue area. Okay, so I'm off to the next strategy. And that's strategy number 6, pick the numbers I hope will hit from group 2. Okay, so here I am back at group 2 again. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to group 1 here. Okay, so I want to point out that again, that I have 8 color groups, and they're all red, blue, orange, green, purple, brown, gray, yellow, for all 15 option cards, okay? So what I'm trying to say here is that there's 15 red areas, there's 15 blue areas, 15 orange, green, and so on, okay? So I keep track of that, and I call that the Group 2 overview, okay? And again, this is where I keep track of all 15 option cards, okay? So I'm going to the Group 2 overview right now. Okay, so I call this a Group 2 overview. And again, this represents all the red areas, all 15 red areas. So on the left side equals hits, on the right side equals misses. Okay, so the magic number here is 8. Okay, 8 is right in the middle of 15. Okay, so if there's 8 or more hits, I color the background red for hot. If there's 8 or more misses, I color the background blue for cold. So again, it's all about colors for me, okay? So when I see something that's been red for a little while, well, I know it's going to be blue at some point. I just got to correctly guess when that's going to happen, okay? So I think that in this blue area, I think is going to be lots of hits. So I think this is going to be red up here, okay? So as I go back through the game card here, I'm going to scroll over here to the right. Okay, so basically what this means is that this represents all 15 option cards here in the yellow, okay? So this is option card number 1. So as I go back to group 2, option card number 1, you can see the blue area goes down from the 2 to the 68. Okay, so you can see from the 2 to the 68, there's no numbers there, so I put a 0. Okay, and then I put a 0 for the second one, so the third one, I'll just show you the third one real quick. You can see that the option card number 3, the blue area goes from the 1 to the 65, and then from the 38 to the 62. Okay, so for the 38 to the 62, you can see that the only thing left is the 46. So that's why I put the 46 up here. Okay, so I hope that makes sense to you. Okay, so this is what I came up with all 15 option cards. All right, so now I'm off to the next strategy. And that's strategy number 7, picking my numbers. Okay, so the 5 white winning Powerball numbers that I think will come up are the 31, 36, 44, 46, and 47. Okay, so that will give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 hits, 5 misses. Okay. So as I head back to the Group 2 overview here, I think this 10 and 5 will be right here, okay? in the blue area. And since it's more than 8, then I'll be coloring it red. All right, so hopefully this is what's going to happen. All right, so again, the numbers that I'm going to go with are the 31, 36, 44, 46, and 47. So in the 50-50 picks, I thought there was going to be more even numbers than odd numbers. So you can see that the 36, 44, and 46 are all even, okay? 3 even numbers. Okay, and I thought that more would be to the high side than the low, and of course that has to happen because there's only 2 here in the low. Okay, and then for the blue area as well, you can see that I can't have more in the red than the blue, so you can see that the 31, 36, and 44 are all here in the blue. Okay, so again, this is how I use my game, okay? And again, we're all going to look at this a little bit differently, and we're all going to come up with different results, okay? So again, if you like to use my game, then please go to my website at www.patreon.com/decoding the Powerball, okay? And if you'd like to send me any feedback, then please email me at decodingpowerball@gmail.com. Again, that's just decodingpowerball@gmail.com. All right, folks, I appreciate you watching. If you like the content of my channel, then please subscribe. And as always, I'd like to wish you the best of luck with your picks.